Hey, we are live in my mom's basement, and we're going to show you a video of the 96-in-1 Multi Pac today and run through a few features. So it's like a two-part video. So part one is going to be an overview of all the things the kit can do, and then part two will be the more technical stuff about installation and some settings and different things you can do. So right here is the splash screen. This is what you're greeted with when the machine's powered up with the 96-in-1 Multi Pac in place. And touching any button takes us to the first menu screen. And on this screen you can pick through a few different games. With the joystick you can go down, it highlights what game you want to pick, or you can hit the player 2 button and it takes you to the next screen of games. So this is screen 2, screen 3, screen 4, screen 5, screen 6 is the final screen. Now if that's too many screens and you don't like to display those games, there's a couple settings we'll get to later on, and you can make it all on one screen and it's just the top games. So let's back up and we'll go just to Miss Pac-Man, for example. So it loads the game just like normal, and one nice thing is even when the game is set for free play, the attract mode still runs so you don't get screen burn. So that's a nice feature. Now we can pause the game by hitting player 1 and 2 at the same time and joystick right, and that puts it into pause, and then joystick up brings us back to the menus again. And if we could jump to other games here. Let's go to something, this is like Space Invaders, and so you might ask yourself, okay, I don't have a fire button on my control panel, but you don't need one because the Multi Pac 96-in-1 remaps your control panel so that player 1 becomes your fire button. So we'll start this game. You'll see a familiar screen here, and we just use player 1 to fire our missiles. And then we go to pause again here, and we'll go back up. We'll go back to menu. So you can see there's pretty cool features for running the system. So now we'll go into a couple settings you can do with the Multi Pac. The first setting is the administrator menus. So we reset the board. I turned dip switch 6 number 6 to on, and now we go to the game. We pick a game, but instead of loading the game, now we load up a setup screen, and you use the joystick to navigate these setup screens. So you can go speed, you can go normal or fast, we can go free play, 1. Here you can set it for a cocktail table or an upright, and then screensaver is pretty cool. You can set the number of attract mode cycles that run before the screensaver activates. So we'll set this one to 1, and you'll get to see that here in a minute. So so you just go through, you can set all the games up. You can set some fast, some slow. You can set them for difficult or easy, the number bonus, anything you want. Like all these settings were normally done on the board, and now they're all done and they're stored in the Multi Pac. So and then some of them are global in nature, so you don't have to set them for every single game. So we got all of our settings done. So now we'll see Miss Pac-Man will be in free play mode, and we'll fire it up here. Okay, so we're in free play. So normally if you had set your board to free play, it would have the text push 1 or 2 player button, and it would be static and it would be really bad for your monitor. But now the track mode continues to run because of our modified code. So if we hang on here in a minute and we complete this attract mode cycle, we should go into screensaver, and that's pretty cool to see. What screensaver does is just to protect the phosphor on the tube, and the screen will go completely black, and we'll have a random colored ghost crossing the screen at different intervals here, and it'll stay that way until you touch any button or drop a coin or touch the joystick, and then it'll return back to the game. So here in a minute, and we'll see the high score table. That's also another feature. There's a high score save for the game. So here's the screensaver is initiated on its own. So we got a red ghost this time, purple. It comes up randomly throughout the system. So really nice feature. No one in the world makes CRTs anymore, so you want to really protect those, and Pac-Man's a game that tends to really burn them up because the maze is static. So now, you know, the machine's idling, and we had set this for 1 cycle, so you can set it to up to 256 cycles if you want. So anyway, so we have 1 cycle set, and now I'll just touch the player 1 button. See, we're right back to the game. So anyway, that's kind of a basic overview of what the system does. We can play through a game here real quick, and I'll show you how the high score entry works. So we'll So we set this for fast, and we set it for one player. And let's get killed off here real quick, if I can. Okay, so now you'll see the high score entry mode, the way it works. Normally Pac-Man didn't have a high score, so you can pick your letters here with the joystick. You scroll left and right, and you can put spaces in here like so. And you can make it 3 characters. We'll get creative and say, "Hi, YouTube." And then you go to end, and that ends it and saves it. So that's the way the high score entry works. And these are saved in non-volatile RAM, so even when your board's unplugged, it'll save your high score settings. So that's the general overview. And now we'll go to the more technical stuff and kind of get into, like, you can see an installation, how the kit works, and how simple it is to install. Cut. I'm the last one home. There's finally time. Time enough at last. January, February, March, this year, the next year. There's finally time. That's not fair. That's just not fair. There was finally time. Okay, so here we have the 96-in-1 Multi-Pac. It comes in 2 packages, and I'm just going to go and show you how simple it is to install the kit on the board. So we're going to do a quick installation. So we have, this is a Z80 sync bus controller. We're going to take that off and be careful of these pins. And then the best tool for pulling chips is a small flat-bladed screwdriver. So we're going to pull these 2 ROMs out here, and you just gently insert it under the corner, and you get like a slight twisting motion, and you can lift the chip up really carefully because these legs are like 30 years old. You don't want to bust them. So we're taking the ROMs out now. These are the original ROMs. This was a Pac-Man board. We're pulling these out of 5E and 5F and row 6 ROMs. Okay, and then the last thing we need to do is just to pull the Z80 processor, and it's a 40-pin processor used in like a million different things. And we're going to save this because we need to reuse it for the kit. So we're going to take this out and save it. So the next step is to take out the ribbon cable from the package. These are anti-static bags, so it's all, and this is protected with some foam packing here. So we plug in the ribbon cable, and pretty much just take your time, and you don't want to bend any pins or anything in here. So we press that into place, and then we open up the Multi-Pac out of its anti-static bag. And it comes packaged with this little 5E adapter is plugged into a socket, because you have to protect these gold-plated legs. So before we plug it in, we're going to take the Z80 and we're going to put it on this second socket of the Multi-Pac and put it in place. And the thing to be careful of, there's a notch on the end of this, and you want to make sure it matches up with the notch that's in the socket, and make sure all the legs are in there and you don't bend anything. So we're almost there. So we take 5E and we plug it into the original ROM socket, and then we take our ribbon cable and we plug it into the Multi-Pac, and we're done. That's all there is to installation. It's super easy. So this board, the dip switches here, for the Multi-Pac we shut them all off, and we're going to go ahead and fire this thing up. The next thing we have to remember is to put the Z80 board back in place, and there's notches on those chips, and you want to line those up on with the notches on the board, just so that nothing gets bent and we don't miss any pins, and just kind of give it a little once over. So we should be good to go. We've got everything plugged in nice and straight, and we'll fire this board up and we'll see how it does. I'm going to turn off this light. So we're greeted with the startup screen, so we did a good job, and we've got our Miss Pac-Man. So there, we're done with the conversion, and so now we can go back in and we can go to dip switch number 6 and turn that to on, and that enables the administrator menu access. And so now we can go through with the joystick and we can make our settings for whatever, if we have an upright or a table, how many Pac-Men we want, if we want to go fast or slow, what your bonus level is. You can make all those settings on these administrator menus and go through. Now there's a few other advanced features too that are outlined in the manual. Some of them like simple menu or auto menu. Auto menu returns you to the game menu every time you finish a game if you want that feature. Maybe if you have parties, people don't know how to use the kit. Simple menu, instead of having 5 pages of text, it's got 1 page with the best top like 20 games on it. So that's pretty much all there is to it. The rest of the stuff's in the manual. The Multi-Pac works on Midway Pac-Man boards, Make Tracks, Crush Roller, the bootlegs Pac 1, Pac 2, Pac 3, also Falcon. So it supports a lot of different things. You can do a lot with it. And right now, they're only $95 shipped for everything. So that's it.